There are so many sources telling me that they want President Trump to somehow try to bring all of this level down a bit, try to really cool things off. After being impeached, though, President Trump released a video condemning violence, but he also sought to defend himself in the name of free speech.
The efforts to censor, cancel, and blacklist our fellow citizens are wrong, and they are dangerous.
Sources I've talked to say in the coming days, that will be President Trump and his few defenders' central argument. I'm also told President Trump is isolated and angry. And a New York Times report even said Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, is pleased about the impeachment. Still, the vote was passed largely along partisan lines. It's clear President Trump still has a lot of support. Seung, I want to come to you. The GOP is deeply divided. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy voted against impeachment. McConnell is decided about convicting President Trump. Polls show, though, that millions and millions of Americans still support President Trump. What more do we know about who could win in this power struggle?
I mean, that is the major question that we're going to have to answer and have to watch for in the coming months and years. Because we know that the president, even while out of office, is going to very much likely retain a lot of support and sway over the party. And I think it was remarkable that Senator Lindsey Graham pointed to actually that precise point earlier this week when he released a statement saying he would oppose impeachment efforts and that he would obviously vote against convicting the president. He said in a statement that almost seemed written for his Republican colleagues, he said, think of the 74 million people who voted for this president and choosing to throw him out of office, an office that he was poised to leave anyway, is not going to do anything to help bring the country together and bring about healing and unity. But I can't underscore. I mean, I've covered a lot of frustrated moments among Senate Republicans, but it was done mostly quietly, very often on background or on off the record. I cannot overstate the level of furious and anger in the Senate Republican Conference right now among even some of the president's most stalwart allies. I mean, the most obvious point is Senator Mitch McConnell here, because if you just kind of rewind to a year ago when we were starting the last impeachment trial of President Trump, McConnell almost proudly told the press, told us that, and told the public that I am not an impartial juror here. He worked in concert with White House officials to come up with his defense and make sure that the president can get acquitted of the first charges. So the fact that he is now on the record confirming that he is openly considering convicting the president of inciting an insurrection here, and obviously in private, he has refused to take Trump's calls. The two men have not talked. That relationship is certainly severed, according to the Post reporting and many others as well. That is pretty remarkable. And obviously, Mitch McConnell, whatever he does, can provide cover and provide some guidance for many members of the Senate Republican Conference in the days ahead.
And like you said, Mitch McConnell is undecided about how and whether or not he would convict President Trump, which is in some ways, of course, really, really telling about where things are. We just talked, and I've just talked to so many people in Trump world who are concerned about this. Pierre, I want to come to you. In that clip that we played, President Trump was talking about censorship as the real danger here. Tell me a little bit about your reporting when it comes to what the real danger is here, and what do you make of what federal authorities are telling you about what role white supremacists and so many others could be playing in posing a threat here?
Well, words do matter. And the feeling is, and law enforcement officials were talking behind the scenes, very concerned for weeks after the election when the president said the election was stolen, that the Democrats had basically pulled a highway robbery against him, that there was broad election malfeasance, if you will, and they knew it was all a lie. And they were saying behind the scene, what happens when all these people, all these millions of people who hang on the president's every word and tweet, what if they believe it? And mixed into that mix are white supremacists, this group called the Boogaloo, the QAnon conspiracy people, and also neo-Nazis who have glommed on in connection to supporting the president. And what they want What they want is a race war. What they want is civil war. So law enforcement was looking with trepidation at January 6th. They felt like that with the votes coming to certify the election, and with the president openly in defiance of what was about to take place, which that President-elect Biden was going to become the president, they felt that this was just going to create this level of animus. They were hoping that it would not turn violent immediately, but I have to tell you, when the crowd started moving toward the Capitol, there was a great level of nervousness, and when those bombs were first reported planted, 2 bombs, active bombs were found, law enforcement officials said, look, we have this crisis, and now we have a crisis in the coming days. And again, it all goes back to how people view what the president has to say. And what Twitter and Facebook basically have said is that, number one, the president has not been telling the truth, and number two, that they believe that his words is, in fact, inciting violence.